Good morning, Trevor. How you doing, sir? You well?
I'm very well, Joe. How are you? How
I'm
are
blessed, my brother. Always, always, and always.
you?
All the better for talking to you, though, because we're at the back end of 2024. It's been a good
Mm.
year for you guys. You're the CEO of the Edmonton Community Partnership, a real inspirational organization who we featured on The Voice, some of the good works that you've done, in particular, the Health and Wellbeing Festival that you had last year. We'll get into
Mm.
that, but I really kind of wanted to introduce you to our listeners, viewers, because I thought, let's start with the guy that's driving the vision. Let's kind of really understand who the man is at the helm.
Yeah.
How do you find yourself here, Trevor, at an organization like this?
It's been a long journey. When I think back, I volunteered as a 14-year-old at our local play scheme. Okay, so I'm from Leicester, and I grew up in a part of Leicester called St Matthew's Estate. Okay, so we're talking disadvantaged since I know, that's what I grew up in, single parent, all of that, but great opportunities as well. Great support. And I realized, particularly when I was 14, the importance, because it had an impact on me in terms of those play schemes, of those youth workers, those mentors, those people who kind of helped me, helped guide me, particularly the males, and gave me that kind of like male role model. And then I was fortunate enough to get a job. I was delivering sandwiches at BBC Radio Leicester, and with my nerve, I went in and I said, "Look, I want to work here." I was like 15 at the time. I want to work here and all that. And the producer at the time said, "Okay, come back and talk to me." And she said yes. And there is where I learned things like communication. There's where I kind of looked at critical thinking. And I was dyslexic and how I could use words in different way in my voice. And I learned a lot. And again, people taking time out to invest in me. So fast forward to when I came down to London, I was given the opportunity to run a youth program and a youth club. I really enjoyed that. But the biggest issues coming from, and particularly black young boys, was how the school staff were dealing with them. How, they'd be joking and laugh, whatever. Next minute, they're being boisterous. They're being told they're being boisterous and all that. And they're not. They're just, within our culture, we're loud at times. A lot of them were being excluded. I was the one going in to advocate with them, with the parents, because some of the parents couldn't get in. And I realized, the system and just how things work aren't working right. Then I made such a big stink that they then offered me a year 10 program to look at how we deal with pre-exclusions. So I said, well, let's look at a vocational training program. Let's look at doing some alternative education. Let's look at where the young people are at. And that doesn't mean they're not interested in English and maths. It's about how we frame stuff, okay? How it makes sense to them as a people, as a person. So construction, hairdressing, creative arts, whatever, science, technology, all those things I started out doing. And the core of everything was about improving the life chances of young people. And I went on a away day to St. Kitts. When I was in St. Kitts, I went on an away day and I met a minister, and he started talking to me and he said, "Trevor, there's something in you." I said, "Really? I don't know. I just do what I do." He goes, "But have you ever sat and decided what your purpose is? Because you're telling me you're doing all these different things, but do you know what drives you?" I said, "Well, yeah, I just care." "No, it's more than that, Trevor. There's a mission you're on. What's that mission?" And he made me really sit with that. Okay. And I sat with it till I realized, and I had to write this down several times. The core thing of what I want to do, and I just said it a minute ago, is to improve the life chances of children, young people, and their families. Because without that, I wouldn't be where I am now. If someone hadn't taken the time out with the opportunity and the time and space to sit with me, to guide me, to rasp me up when I needed to as well, put me in a room and look me in the eye and tell me, "Lord Jesus Christ," and in those days you could scuff someone around the head, no one's going to say nothing to you, you know what I mean? But if someone hadn't just taken the time out to sit with me, to hear me, to understand me, one, I would never have got diagnosed as dyslexic. Okay. Two, I would never have been given the opportunities that I've had. And three, I would never be able to, as we talk in the village, each one teach one, pass it now on. And that's what I do. So that's my journey. I mean, I can talk about all different roles I've had, but at the core of it was understanding myself and what I needed and saying, as best as I can, I don't want any kid to be in that situation. So we must do what we can do. The littlest thing we do, we're like a jigsaw, small pieces. But you know what? Part of that small piece, it means a lot to someone. So the best that you can be, be. And I'm not perfect. I've made a load of mistakes as well.
We won't get into the mistakes, Trevor. We'll leave that for another day. We'll leave that for another day. But no, thanks for sharing that. Really appreciate you kind of going as deep as you did with that. You're the dyslexic CEO.
Yeah. I failed maths. I failed maths. I've dealt with budgets as big as 4.7 million. I failed maths. And I tell this to kids when I go into schools, you know, there's no barrier. I do believe this, that should prevent you from being the best version of yourself. What it means is putting in the work. That's what it means. You put in the work. But because a label is attached to you, hello, no, because I've already had labels before I even walk in the room. I'm a black man, okay? I'm a black man in a setting that is predominantly white female in education, okay? And when I talk things up and then they turn around and say, that's because you're passionate, Trevor, I think it was because I care. But when the head of education comes in, who's a white man, comes in and says the same thing as me, he's not passionate, he's just doing his job. So I've got to deal with all of that. You know, I've got to deal with all of that. But what I say to young people, black, brown, white, whoever you are, do not let a label affect where you're going to be in your future. Okay, because that's just a mindset. It means you've got to put in the work.
Let's talk about some of the work you've done with the Edmonton Community Partnership this year. I specifically mentioned the health and wellbeing drive that you did because you know, you had Steve-O the Madman there. I love him. Big draw. Always a great person to have interacting. But he's interacting on some serious and pertinent issues that affect us as a community. Speak about that drive and some of the good work that you guys have done this year.
Well, the important thing with Steve-O was that he cares. So particularly when we talk about sickle cell and blood disorders, etc., you know, for personal reasons, he's like a champion of all of that. And I just say amen to him. So he came down to support us on that and ensured that the Anthony Nolan Trust was there as well in presence to really just connect with the community and just really enroll as many people as possible as potential blood donors, but also talk to them and listening to them about some of the issues in their life and saying, actually, hold on, have you ever considered this? So that was good. On the opposite side of that was also around prostate cancer. And a big drive within the black community and black men is about getting themselves tested early, and understand that it's not demasculating you by saying, I've got to check things out. This is about your health and your well-being, and it's about your family's future. Healthy hearts was a big thing as well, particularly because of the food we eat in the black community, high cholesterol, etc., cardiovascular, it affects us. So all that plus diabetes too as a driving force, but underarching all of that is about health inequalities. The reason when you speak to some people in the black community that are not connecting with their health providers, etc., is because of the historic experience that them or their family has had in the past. And let's just call it as it is, blatant racism in terms of how they've been dealt with, how they've been not supported as practitioners who came to this country, were invited to this country to hold this country up, to rebuild this country. There's a whole host of reasons. And we can have too many reports that say, oh, we've got to do better and institutional right. Means nothing if on the ground you're not showing up for people. So then the big second driver, and when we talk about inequalities, is equity. What does equity look like? What equity looks like is if I can go into a space and I feel people see me and understand me. So I need to see more, not just black nurses, whatever, but professionals at a higher level. Because at the end of the day, I call this, people say this, why do you say this, Trevor? I say policy is an institution, okay? I really believe that. So the right policies and the right change that speak to me as a black person or a brown person start to then address why I will then hopefully engage. If the policy speaks to me and I see myself in it, I'm there. So a policy is an institution and people are institutions. So we need to see more black people in professions, shall I say, that allow us to feel that you get it when I walk into your space. So Steve-O, we had the guys from Google Box, we had Rosala come down, Kim Mazel sent a message, all these people, because they understand that without us showing up in our community and taking things seriously, things won't change. But we've got to do it as a voice, as a big voice. I'm just looking at your backdrop and what the voice stands for. It's about a collectiveness of community and speaking with one voice about things that matter to us. So look, we're in our first year. We're moving into to year 2 because we've made the argument. Don't give us piecemeal. You know, COVID was happening and all these funders started talking about we've got to do things differently from now on. There's this co-production thing. We've got to do this whole coming from lived experience. I say it's living experience. When I have the kid and a parent who's living in housing that I wouldn't put my worst enemy in, but yet that kid is supposed to show up, go to school, bad cough and everything, and sit there and learn, but yet they've got mold in there in the house. That's not right. That doesn't sit right with me and shouldn't sit right for anybody. Okay, so don't tell me about lived experience. It's living experience. So there, we've got to listen to it. We've got to address it and do something about it. So I said to them, don't give me no 1 year's piece of funding. I don't want to know. I'm not ticking one of your boxes. Edmonton Community Partnership is not about that. And I won't go into the fact how they think just because you're black. Anyway, there's a loads of things that I could talk about. I said, you give us a real money. Don't give us no piecemeal money. Give us the real money to do what we want to do, and we will give it to the communities. So they gave us, for 2 years, £160,000. They wanted to give us £40,000. I put the phone down. Joe, I put the phone down. I said, I'll find that money somewhere else. When you're ready to be serious, let's talk. And I do have a reputation. I don't care about this reputation because I am like many other people. We're just servants, okay? So therefore, we have to show up for our community. We have to stop talking about things. I get frustrated in our community about a host of things. You may ask me about them later. But what we need to do, collectively, be united on things. And when we are united, that's when change can happen. But no more piecemeal. No more. No more. If you're not being serious, then why have you invited me to this? If you're not being serious, why are we here? We're an alliance of 21 schools, Joe. Okay, over 10,000 kids, different communities scattered across Edmonton, Lower Edmonton, and Ponders Green. This particular health initiative was about the whole of Enfield. But yes, I said we have to have a focus on the Black community because we're often a second thought. So I'm going to make that a driving thought. But here's the thing we're going to do is make sure that everything connects with every other community. But we are having some targeted stuff and you're going to pay for it. And that's why, for me, what we've been doing over the last year and feeds into next year is making a difference because it's driven by our community. It's not me sitting there. It's driven by the community, Joe. And it's hard because we've got to argue. We've got to fight. But you know what? Lord Jesus, Shaka did it. So can we.
Being uncompromising, how are you going to scale the heights of 2024 with even bigger and more impactful work in 2025 and beyond that as well? I mean, let's not limit.
Yeah. No, we started a thing called What If, Joe? What if we supported the lowest education of year 9s, year 8s, year 7s, year 6, year 5s, and year 4s, particularly Black boys, who predominantly are making up only 20% of the school population, but close to 60% of those excluded. What if we put in extra literacy support, extra numeracy support, the stuff we used to have in the old days called supplementary school? What if we put it in early and supported on their transition and see the results? And let me tell you, we started this, and then this year we are seeing more young people staying within the school system, but understanding the school system, okay? Parents feeling confident about their son and their daughter, predominantly it's boys though, and their daughters as well, because we've mixed it up, getting ready for their SATs or their MTCs or their GCSEs. We've said to the parents, and this is the thing about, sometimes you have to rasp people up. You say you can't afford the extra tutor. We put on this provision because the first lot, we only had a few people turn up. I said, we put on something for free for your child. You tell us they're going to be there, but yet you're dragging your child to go shopping on a Saturday. What is important in 5 to 10 years' time, in 20 years' time, when they should be looking after you, not going shopping? You've got to show up for your kid now. Bring your kid by the rotted ear if you need to and make them sit there and understand. And now, full. All of our classes are full. But I had to hold a community meeting. I had to ras our community. We've got to stop calling out and saying they're not giving us enough, because when it's there, we don't use it. We have to use it. So for 2025, and I'm just so excited about this, it's about increasing our support for young kids, particularly boys, Black young boys in numeracy and literacy, and making that critical thinking an important thing as well, okay? I was doing a report on this, 1.1 billion jobs are expected worldwide to be lost by 2030 because of technology, okay? Our school systems are not gearing up for what we need to do, okay? Our secondary schools are not even ready yet. But hear what? In Dubai, they're talking with business, they're talking with universities, they're re-examining the school curriculum where AI, technology, critical thinking, vocational schools are starting now. They're saying, yes, English and maths, but you know what? In the new age, we need to be thinking differently. We need to re-skill our young people and rethink education. So for me, I've already spoken to the leader of Enfield Council, Councillor Ergen, and we're looking at what post-16 pre-apprenticeship should look like for secondary schools. And we're looking at piloting under 2 secondary schools, moving down vocational options for them. 9 billion levelling up money funds are going into Enfield, okay? You've got a 300 million pound media suite just come in, and you've got a 1.2 billion construction firm in the regeneration, and our kids aren't ready for it. They're not ready for those jobs. So let's rotted well rethink that. That's my big thing for 2025, is how we drive change. And I'm sitting on a board with the council, leader of the council, to look at this, and particularly jobs for our Black and brown young people, boys and girls, our Eastern European young people as well. And we talk about right well leveling up. I mean, really leveling up. But this will be a 2 to 3 year. But that's my project. Our what if, extend that learning for our black and brown young boys. Our post-16 pre-apprenticeship starting in secondary school, because it's bloody well important. And within that, civic responsibility. Getting our young people to understand that they are the leaders of tomorrow. So entrepreneurships as well. We're getting together a fund of close to £200,000 for young people aged 17 plus who have an idea, may not have the money and may not have all the full skills connected to connect them with mentors and give them money to try. They may not succeed, but they're going to try because we learn from our mistakes. So who knows who we'll find, and who knows will be the next Elon Musk. But we've got to start thinking differently, Joel. Simple. I don't care what this, we talk about building back Britain. We have to take it away from the government and start doing things more localized, as they've devolved a lot of things in the regions. Maybe education needs to be devolved. Maybe we need to take something, not about academies and all of that. Maybe we just need to own a bit more of ourselves in the communities where we sit. But you know me, I'm on a mission, so I'll speak when I'm dead.
Well, Trevor, we're hopeful to amplify the message from your mission.
Amen.
You know, and give people an opportunity to support you. You know, get others to support you. Where I should say, can people find out more about you, what you're doing, follow the work that you're doing?
For Edmonton Community Partnership, they can follow us on X at Edmonton Community Partnership. Also across our YouTube channel and Instagram as well. It's all there. Our website is all the W's, edmontoncommunitypartnership.org. I urge you to look at that, and you'll start to look at the links, the cross links that we've got, cross-cultural links. There's 4 pillars to what we do, which is enrichment, should I say, education and curriculum, prevention and intervention, and our families. And when you really dig deep and understand particularly my passion, which is about all communities, but my drive in terms of the Black community, you see how they're all intersections are linked. They're all linked, okay? So yeah, you can follow us there. And Joel, you guys at The Voice have been amazing in supporting us, but there's going to be some arguments that are going to be uncomfortable. So I hope you stay the course with us, because particularly around our post-16 agenda, you guys could help amplify a lot of what, not just me, and nothing we do is in isolation. It's not about me, it's about a community, it's about partnerships, okay? And let me just reaffirm that, because it's important. But having a voice, the voice, also amplifying in our community is important. So what you guys do is important. We must support you guys more as well. Seriously.
Appreciate that, Trevor. We'll be here, sir. We'll be here for the journey. So
Amen,
keep doing the work, keep punching, you know, above your weight, as it urges.
Always.
I mean, it's just that's how it goes, right? It's part of the course. So yeah, I get it.
We got to. It's not. I say it to the young people. You know, just someone's put you there. That doesn't mean that's what you're supposed to say.
Yeah.
Hey, I punch to Sadiq Khan. I don't care, because it's a voice. We have to use our voices as best we can. For as long as we're here, let's do that. And the legacy is each individual, not a space, a place, or a physical building. It's people. That's when I'll look back when I'm old and grey in Gambia or in St. Kitts, trust me.